Silicon Valley, technology, art, green, and sustainability.
Welcome to another episode of Silicon Valley Tech, Art, Green, and Sustainability, SVTAGS. Today I'm very honored to have a young lady with me who is a technologist, an evangelist, and a forward thought thinker in the industry of technology and several different things. Welcome, Elisabeth, and I'm going to pronounce the last name wrong, Kindig?
Kindig.
Kindig,
Yeah.
Okay. Great name, and I read your article at the NAB Show, and we missed meeting, but I'm glad we missed meeting because we have the opportunity to have you on the show. Tell us a little bit about yourself, whatever you'd like to share.
Thanks, Heather. I really appreciate being here. NAB was such a great conference. There was a lot of new technology that was being launched. I'm originally from the Midwest. Go Cubs. I'm one of the big Cubs fans out here.
And I would never guess that. You don't have any kind of accent, so yeah.
That's a good thing, I guess.
Yeah, well, it's all good.
You can tell a Midwesterner because we're one of the only people that merge for oncoming traffic, so that's one way. But yeah, I'm a transplant. I spent a little bit of time in Boulder, Colorado, which is a really neat area. A lot of work-life balance going on there, a lot of sports, and now I'm here in Silicon Valley and really excited to be working with products and evangelizing them.
And you moved here, you worked for a VC company. Mm-hmm. Tell us, what was that like? Did you work all the time? I mean, how did that transpose that you moved here?
That's a great question. I don't think there's really any 9-to-5 job in Silicon Valley if you're truly going to succeed here, and I found that out the minute I got here. I was working for a VC firm, and one of the first festivals that I attended was Launch Festival, and there were 200 startups, and it was so noisy, and it's like all of these startups are basically trying to get their product heard by venture capitalists, and it was my job to sift through those startups and recommend a short list for the VC firms. I think within the first month I was here, I was sitting in portfolio meetings with Andreessen Horowitz, which was like amazing, right? So I definitely broken in very quickly, and I started to work on a blog at night, and that started putting me on the map. I had over 300 contributors to the blog, over 2 million page views in 1 month during its peak in 2013. So, all of that activity led up to the evangelism that I do now for my current company, Intertrust.
And so the blog you started while you were here, but you had another blog while you were in the Midwest too?
This is all citizen tech.
Okay.
So it was launched out here, basically from the VC work that I was doing. And there were some really big thought leaders that wrote articles for the blog. The founder of the Ripple protocol for Bitcoin, 500 startups wrote a really great article about how to solve real world problems in like India, because some of the problems we solve in Silicon Valley are first world problems, right? Like social media or apps, dating apps, or connected cars even. They're like these very first world problems, and what this website brought about was allowing technologists to write about their expertise, and so it gave me enough success to continue the evangelism that I do now.
So starting the evangelism really started with the VC company then?
Sure, yeah.
And what's that like now for you? I mean, what do you do as an evangelist?
Sure, well, right now I work with a suite of products. Intertrust is building, basically it builds trust for the connected world, and what that means is like there's this huge problem that we all face as we continue to build technology, and that's privacy and security related. Our suite of products attack this from all different angles. We have ExpressPlay, which is a multi-DRM. It's content protection for the media and entertainment industry, which is, I think, how we connected at NAB. White Encryption solves app security, so it protects encryption keys that are inside of the app from hackers. And we also have Personograph, which is a audience and data management platform. So it's like all this heavy technology, right? And it's like, how do you keep it fluffy and like digestible by people? And that's kind of my job. So I wrote about, in this case, drones. I've written about the Internet of Things, which is definitely going to be one of the bigger changes in the tech landscape over the next 5 years.
Right, Google just had their huge Internet of Things.
Yep.
I'm behind on the slides, so I'm going to pull up slide 1, which we should have pulled up already. Tell us about this slide. It has Tech Week in the background. Okay.
Sure. I was in Chicago at that time, and I was evangelizing Personograph. It's an audience data platform. Basically, if you think about your mobile device, it's probably in your pocket right now. There's multiple device signals that Personograph pulls from, and it basically takes this complex, tough data and makes it into simple, digests it for simple audience segments. So in this case, I was talking about publishers who can benefit from knowing who their audience is. So like at any given time when you're inside of a mobile app, the publisher would like to get to know you better, and that's what our data allows you to do.
That's great.
Yeah.
I've got another one too that I want to pull up because I wanted to pull it up before this next question. Now you're with a panel here and you're the only gal. I love that. So tell us about this photo.
I was also evangelizing Personograph in this photo. Those are all gaming companies and apps, pretty well-known gaming companies on the panel with me. And I was explaining to them that the better you know your audience, the more successful you're going to be and the more revenue you'll generate. And our platform allows you to know your audience.
So we talked about deep linking. And can you tell us about that and why that's important for what you're doing as well?
Sure. Deep linking was one of the first projects that I evangelized. It basically looks at the mobile infrastructure and adds URIs, which are basically very similar to URLs, in that you can navigate horizontally across the app. So it was just one of the first projects that I evangelized. What's more exciting today, and Google has addressed deep linking with app indexing, but what is probably more important today is, what are we going to do with all the data that mobile generates, right? Like every action you take on your mobile device is creating data that needs to be protected, not just from hackers, but from lots of different constituents. And those are some of the bigger questions that we'll have to answer as we move forward.
And then deep linking, is there any other companies you want to mention that you're working with or that should be noted?
Gosh, there's a lot of companies that implement deep linking. Spotify does a great job of indexing their songs, and for instance, how many times are you going to say to your friend, go to the Spotify app? You're going to tell your friend, I just heard this great Taylor Swift song, or I just heard this great Prince song, and you're going to want to navigate them directly to a Prince song. And in order to do that, you have to implement deep linking, and Spotify is one of the first apps to do that, for instance. Google is obviously making big waves because it's indexing all of the apps, which will greatly help app developers. I mean, the way I kind of came about
probably
this...
Facebook as well.
Well, yeah, Facebook, yeah for sure.
Yeah.
They've come up with a protocol for it.
Okay, and so I'm going to pull up the next slide. We met at the NAB, and actually this is not the slide, so tell me about this one.
Oh, I am evangelizing Intertrust, which is, it builds products and builds trust for the connected world.
It's such a cute photo of you too.
Thank
I love
you.
that photo.
Yeah, I'm having a blast, aren't I? So again, Intertrust attacks this privacy and security from all angles, and what we were evangelizing there was Express Play, which encrypts video, and it's content protection for the media and entertainment industry. And like this has been going on for 25 years, right? Like Intertrust is a super solid company, and now it's moving into these emerging areas with the trust and the security that it's had for this long as a legacy company.
And so with drone security, you guys
Right.
are working with drone security, which is how you started with the article as well. So it links back to that.
We are a thought leader when it comes to security. So you have to think about drones for a minute. For the first time, apps are actually controlling a machine that is, 50 pounds and can go like 40 miles per hour.
Or more.
Or more.
Like last year there was a drone at NAB, and I'm sure it was there, I didn't see them this year, that could pick up a 180-pound camera.
Right.
The movie industry, so it could pick up a person basically.
Apps couldn't do that before.
Yeah.
Apps are primarily for entertainment, right? And so now that apps can control machines that are flying around, Intertrust is basically saying, let's make sure those apps are secure And they have a product to do that, which is white encryption, to make sure that hackers can't get into the encryption key and through reverse engineering and whatnot. Because otherwise you're able to not just take confidential information from this hack, but now you could, who knows what could happen if a 50-pound drone is
right. And you actually
flown
wrote,
into
let's
an
pull out,
audience.
I think the next slide should be the drone slides. Yeah, these are just some of the smaller drones, but I mean, the one in the middle actually looks very much like the one that could pick up 180 pounds. It was all black though, of course, and the arms were they moved so you could fold it down into one tight little box. So we could pull that down. You wrote about security with the military too, how the software got hacked into, right? And they took over a drone.